Talk more about the earnings for Tamilnad Mercantile Bank and where the stock is headed from here on, rather where the company is headed from here on. We are joined by Mr. S. Krishnan, who is the MD and CEO at the bank. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Krishnan. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now to talk about your earnings and the way forward. This is Cheryl on the other side. Let me first ask about your NII. Your NII on a year-on-year basis has seen an uptick. Could you tell us what exactly has driven this particular growth and how sustainable is the growth in the NII going ahead?
Thank you. The bank has done extremely well in the first half of this fiscal. As you observed that the NII has gone up. More particularly, I can say that the NIM has gone up to 4.47 the first half year. The question as to how it has gone up, if you look into my CD ratio, the CD ratio itself has gone up during this period. It has gone to 80%, and my slippages have been contained. All these have helped to increase the net interest income. Going forward, how it will be sustained? Yes, having a NIM of 4.47 is a challenge. Definitely, I was telling that the guidance will be that I will have a NIM of above 4 going forward. That is what I have to tell you. The net interest income has gone up during the half year from 874 crore to 1,032 crores. And during this quarter also, there is a marginal it has gone up.
Right, Mr. Krishnan. This is Vinny joining in the conversation as well. Obviously, you did mention about having your NIMs at 4% going forward, but I want to understand in terms of your advances and deposits. They have grown at a lower rate compared to the system growth rates. So, is that any bit of a concern for you, or there is no worry on that front then?
See, if you look into the half year, why I am telling us half year is basically the bank has gone up for the listing IPO very recently. So I thought that to my investors, I will talk of the entire half year. If you look into the half year, the advance growth is around 10%. The deposit growth is only around 5%. It is basically because that I thought we will improve the CD ratio. The CD ratio was hovering around 75 to 76%, which has now been increased to 80%. That also has resulted in the increased net interest income. Within the deposit, if you look into, my CASA has gone up by about 15% during the half year. I don't find any concern on the growth of the business. There is a good potential. Going forward, I look this way that very recently, the RBI has also lifted the restrictions which it had imposed on the bank on the branch expansion. So it has lifted its restrictions on 21st of October. We are working on the branch expansion. And I will be taking a paper to the board very shortly on the areas where we can expand. That will also enable me to improve the business much more in the days to
come. I was in fact going to ask you the next question on that particular front as well, but you answered it before I could ask you. So let me talk about your other levers. Other than NII, your other levers is lower provisions, credit costs as well. Which is actually driving your profitability. Could you tell me how comfortable are you with the provisioning, and also where do you see the credit cost trend heading from here on?
No, I can tell that I'm able to contain the slippages. I'm able to contain the slippages. We have enhanced the monitoring mechanism, thereby that my slippages are arrested to a greater extent. The bank is well provisioned. If you look into today, I have a provision coverage ratio of 88% or 88.56% as on 30th of September. In addition to that, in fact, I should say that I have provided much more. Today, my net NPA is 296 crore in absolute term. I have an additional provision of around 300 crore to meet any exigency, particularly because of the COVID and other things. In addition to the regulatory requirement. So I am well positioned to meet any exigencies.
And lastly, I do want to know that, you do have a stronghold in the south. You're very well recognized over there. But, what about other geographies that you're looking to enter? And, how do you actually plan on acquiring customers in these other geographies then?
Okay, good. Yes, your observation is right that I have a larger presence in the south, and in the south, the bank is one of the household name for most of the people. When I go for the branch expansion, I also keep in mind the potentials available in other centers, in all the centers, and also the centers where I will be able to have a quick break even. So I am working on a paper on the branch expansion, which I will be taking to my board very shortly, and then I will be able to share with you as to the centers where we will be having a enlarged or the increased footprint. Definitely, we will be keeping in mind the places where I don't have currently the footprint or a larger footprint, and also the potential which are available in that states.
Definitely be waiting for those details, Mr. Krishnan. But for now, we leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us on ET Now to share about the quarter gone by for Tamilnad Mercantile Bank and where you see it headed from here on. And that was the MD and CEO at the newly listed Tamilnad Mercantile Bank.